KABC. Jillian Barber, John Phillips here until 10.
Not just any Friday. Sadly, this is the 50th anniversary of the Tate. We call them the Tate LaBianca murders. There were many people at Sharon's house that night. Wojtek Wajkowski, J.C. Bring her friend, Stephen Parent, unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time. Abigail Folger. Joining us now is Deborah Tate, who is a victim's advocate, of course, and, very popular person on our show, to talk about an article that came out in the LA Times yesterday that she sent me that just, for people on the inside, we pretty much knew all this information. But for people who don't know, it's pretty stunning. I mean, even Steve Cooley said today the article was unbelievable. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Jillian. Hello, John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, the article is so deep and convoluted, but essentially it says there could be 12 more murders tied to the Manson family. Is that pretty much basically what they're saying?
At the least, yes.
At the least.
I have been involved with a very special forensic team for about the last 11, 12 years.
Yeah, at least.
And I've been out at Barker Ranch with amazing, mind-blowing machinery that we have at our fingertips these days.
That can track bodies and things like that.
They can track bodies. They can take underground pictures. They can detect in soil and plants, human decomposition. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been trying to run it up the flagpole for all of this time, starting with Jerry Brown when he was in the Attorney General's office, and he was interested in helping us, and then as his foot went into the governor's office, that opinion changed. The most recent of my efforts has been by a letter to Kamala Harris when she was in the Attorney General's office. The police in the county involved must be on board, and because they are not, for whatever reason, you have to go above their heads. And it's like running your head into a brick wall.
Yeah.
But murder has no limit of no statute of limitations. And hopefully somebody will see and hear and get interested in this, and we can get this task done, because there's families out there suffering profusely.
Well, part of the article, which I found very interesting, talks about the Tex Watson tapes that you and I have talked about for years. That's out there now. It talks about Reet Jurgensen, this girl from Montreal who was 19, who was found stabbed 150 times. They believe she, was hanging around the ranch, and her body was dumped in Mulholland, 6 miles from Sharon's house. That's just one story. There are many, many, many stories.
And Mulholland was the cut-through from Hollywood
to Spawn.
To Spawn, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So, really, people, I wish everybody would get on board and help me make the powers that be look into these things, simply because there is a very real and viable chance. I am fighting with everything I've got to keep these people behind jail, but this is just a small amount of what I know and what I've seen that makes me know that we cannot afford to release these people.
Now, Deb, here's something that's frustrating. You look at what happened with R. Kelly. There was a television show that essentially forced prosecutors into going after him. You look at Jeffrey Epstein. There was investigative reporting that essentially forced prosecutors to go after him. You have been ahead of the curve here, certainly ahead of where law enforcement is, ahead of where the LA Times is, because the LA Times just came out with this article, but you've been onto it beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And yet it seems like law enforcement is the last to know.
They are non-compliant. It's not that they're the last to know. They have been made very aware of all of this. I'm the one that broke the Tex Watson tapes news to the LAPD.
Yeah.
I mean,
she told them about the tapes, and then they go through. Yeah, no, it's craziness.
And then they go through the process to obtain from the bankruptcy court in Texas, and when they get them back, although they said they were willing to share that
they didn't
away.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, there was a hearing in which the detective had to admit that there was no ongoing investigation, in which case the law of if you do a Public Information Act, they are supposed to relinquish those tapes. Well, why are they not? That's the $64,000 question.
And it's hours and hours of tape.
Not to release it is because there's something on there that will embarrass them or cause them a problem.
Yeah, that's
none of us would sue them, by the way. I would be happy to forfeit any rights to lawsuit just to bring the potential murders. It's 8 hours of tape of Tex Watson confessing to anything and everything that not only he but other Manson family members
were involved in.
Had done.
Yeah,
exactly.
One of them is Zero's death, and people don't really know who that is, but they say it was Russian roulette. But there were Manson girls in the room.
Bruce Davis was there.
Bruce Davis was there, by the way, who was just paroled.
Yeah. He was just paroled. I'm praying that Governor Gavin Newsom overturns that parole.
I'm sure he will. And again, if you go to, I'm hoping, I'm praying. It's like flip-flop. It's like a crapshoot, as John said earlier. You never know. But if you do go to noparoleformansonfamily.com, it's so simple. You'll see pictures of all of the killers, and you could just click on it, and it takes 20 seconds. And that's it. You just sign it, and that's that. And we can bring it to the governor.
Hey, Deb, we had the former district attorney for L.A. County, Steve Cooley, on the program earlier. We asked him what he thought about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and his response was, "I like the ending."
Yeah.
I had a very good working relationship with Steve Cooley.
Oh, nice.
I must say that Jackie Lacey is a horse of a different color. She actually said when I went to introduce and extend a glove of friendship to her, told me to sit down and shut up and let them do their job.
Wow.
Well, guess what? So far, I have not seen them doing their job.
And she didn't know you.
She didn't know me, but yet it went from a private one-on-one meeting to me in the room with 5 of her top supervisors, which kind of says, I don't know, are they afraid of me because I'm
very vocal?
Because I'm very vocal. I'm a horse of a different color.
Yeah.
I'm a loose cannon. There's all kinds of names that you could tag me with.
Well, I think fighter and advocate come to mind. And
I think that those are better terminology.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jillian.
Yes. And again, keeping up that fight. Unfortunately, here we are 50 years later. Still, you have to face these people and make sure they stay behind bars. It's ridiculous.
It's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
In the same 24-hour period of time, while I'm putting flowers on the grave, I missed the news of the murders in Santa Ana. This is a prime example of how our judicial system is no longer protecting us, the citizens. The 4 murders that took place by a violent criminal that should have never been out on the street. That is exactly the type of people, predatory killers, that I have got and that I'm talking about. And I'm not just advocating for the Manson murders. I represent a lot of people whose loved ones were taken by this very same type of predatory killers that kill for the sake of killing.
Deborah Tate.
California, we need to wake up.
Yep.
Victims' rights advocate. You can get her online at noparoleformansonfamily.com.
Very quick, and believe me, your signature matters. Deb, thank you so much on this very sad day. I always say I wish we would celebrate her birthday as much as they do today, but today is the 50th anniversary, so we know how busy you are, and we appreciate you calling.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
Have a great weekend.
Oh, by the way, if you want to see this wonderful piece Deb did with Pat Harvey, it's really a great piece. Better than the Diane Sawyer. Diane Sawyer has sympathy for the killers. It cracks me up.
Pat Harvey doesn't.
No, okay. It was a very good piece.